everybody, today my mom's going to straighten my hair. Right now it's curly, but when she's straightening it, it's going to look like this.
Yeah, right. That's what she thought, but unfortunately I messed up this silk press so bad. So in this video, I'm going to show you everything I did wrong and everything I did right, so you won't waste your time and make the same mistakes I did. Now I'm going to fast forward here and just show you immediately how this turned out. So this was probably like a minute or two after I finished, and as you can see, there's nothing silky about this. It's pressed, but it's not silky. So it's straight, but it's not silky, and this is clearly not going to last for more than a night. I mean, it's already puffy.
And this is what happens. So don't ever touch your hair when it's straight, these curly girls, because it's bad. Because if you touch it too much and brush it too much, it's going to turn like this.
And it's not even humid, but maybe whatever humidity in the air is just getting into your hair, but we'll try it again.
Something that I prayed for.
Alright, you ready? So that clip you just saw was only 3 days after I did her original silk press, and this is a side-by-side photo of how it looked after I finally fixed it. She thinks it got messed up because of how much she was playing with it, brushing it, messing with it, but in all actuality, if I had done it the correct way to begin with, it wouldn't have gotten nearly as messed up. One thing I should disclose is that this is only the second time I've ever flat ironed her hair. The first time was last Thanksgiving, and that one didn't turn out too great either, but I attributed that to my old flat iron. And because I was too worried about heat damaging her beautiful curls, I have not put any type of direct heat, whether it's a flat iron or a curling iron, on her hair. So the only heat that I've used since then is the heat from the hooded dryer or diffuser, which is not direct heat. So the first thing that I did, which is going to remain constant, is wash her hair. Now I'm going to double shampoo here. So the first shampoo that I'm going to be using is the Redken hair cleansing cream. This is a good clarifying shampoo that's not too drying on the scalp. So I'm going to do this and really just dig in the scalp. I'm not going down her hair strands with this one. I'll do that with the next shampoo. This one I'm truly just focused on getting all the buildup that she's had from the many products that we've used over the last week for 3 different hairstyles. Now I'm really picky when it comes to shampoo because I don't want to strip her hair. So I usually use these professional grade versus drugstore brands. They are a lot more expensive, but I don't want to wash her hair more than once a week anyway, so they tend to last longer. Now her hair texture after using this didn't feel stripped of any moisture, so I think I'm going to stick with this, but I'm also open to trying others out. If you recommend, like highly recommend any, leave it in the comments below and maybe I will try this again sooner than 365 days from now. The next shampoo I'm using is my go-to A.G. Care Balance Shampoo. This is an apple cider vinegar shampoo. I do have a wash day video featuring this shampoo and conditioner set that you should check out. I use it every week for wash day, and I'm going to be going down the hair strands with this one. So this one, I'm going to be washing all that product off of her hair strands. One of the things that I should have done, and we can go ahead and say that this is the first change that I would have made, is that I should have done some sort of deep conditioning treatment, protein treatment, before I did the whole shampooing process. This would have resulted in more moisture in her hair and silkier hair after we flat ironed it. So the first don't would be, don't skip that process in the beginning. But I am going to go ahead and condition with my A.G. Care Boost Conditioner. Again, this is in the wash day video. This is a great conditioner. The slip is really good to detangle. It's very easy. So I'm just getting all this worked in her hair. I'm going to go ahead and detangle. The style that was in her hair previously, I had detangled her hair before I put it in that style, and it was a twist style. It didn't move. So her hair isn't very tangled up here. If it were, sometimes I detangle ahead of time, and other times I just do it during this conditioning process because, like I said, that slip makes it real easy. In any case, it was done very quickly here, so now I'm just rinsing all of that conditioner out of her hair, and this concludes the washing process. The next step was to apply a leave-in conditioner. The one that I had on hand was the Pureology Color Fanatic Multitasking Leave-In Conditioner, which was $32 at Sephora. This has very good reviews on multiple different websites. It has camelina oil, coconut oil, olive oil. It detangles great and it works like a charm. However, mistake number 2 here is that I didn't use as much product as I should have. Somebody on YouTube said that too much leave-in conditioner can cause a lot of buildup, which will eventually not allow your blowout to last as long because the product will start weighing your hair down. Well, following that advice didn't do me any justice. Her hair needed way more of this, and I should have known better because I can't tell you how many curly hair tutorials I've seen where people are dipping their heads in buckets full of water, promoting minimal product use, saying it made their curls light and bouncy, and it might work on some curly girls, but Naomi's hair would look terrible trouble using that method. She generally needs a lot more product than a lot of these other people, so I should have stuck with what I already knew about her hair and sprayed this more liberally. But I didn't. This is why it's so important to do what works best for your hair, because there are millions of different hair types and it's not always easy to categorize curly hair in just 3A, 3B, 3C, 4A, 4B, 4C categories, because so many people have a mix of curl types, densities, porosity, and what works best for one person is not always going to work best for the next person. All that to say, if you have to use a lot of product on your wash and goes, you probably also need a good amount of product for your silk presses, or at least I definitely did. Alright, now let's flip to the second time that I'm doing this, where I'm fixing what went wrong. You'll see here I divided the hair into 4 sections, 2 in the front and 2 in the back, and I'm spraying this leave-in conditioner way more liberally. I'm dividing each section into small layers, spraying the hair from the root down to the end, and then brushing it through to again evenly distribute. So I'm going to do this all over and then just pin up the hair when I'm done with that section. Now I'm open to any suggestions as far as any kind of leave-in conditioner. I've heard that Mizani Moisture Milk, I think it's called, is also a good one, but I don't have it, and honestly I've spent so much money on hair products in the last couple of months that I'm just gonna stick with this for now. But in an effort to perfect this, I'm likely going to try this again in a few months, so please leave any comments that you think might be helpful for Naomi's hair type specifically. But using this way more liberally helps significantly the second time around. The next product I'm using is the Olaplex No. 6 Bond Smoother. I use this as a blow dry cream. The label says it's a styling treatment that adds moisture, strengthens, and reduces frizz for up to 72 hours, and it says to not use more than a half a pump on shoulder length hair and a little bit more for longer hair. And while researching blow dry creams, I came across a hairstylist who advised against using any more than a pea-size amount of this product for the hair, like all of the hair, because it's a heavy concentrated product that could weigh the hair down, cause buildup, reduce the amount of time that the blowout will last. So I listened. Stupid. Another example of do what works best for your hair here in regards to the amount of product needed for your style. I shouldn't have listened. I mean, did you see the amount that I used? It's almost comical. Water doesn't even penetrate Naomi's hair. I have to soak it in water for minutes before it's fully saturated, or lift it layer by layer, so I don't know why I listened to using a pea-size amount. I mean, that small amount in that big section was just stupid. I do recommend brushing it through though once you do put it in to evenly distribute it, but again, use the amount of product needed for your hair type, especially when a particular product claims to be appropriate for all hair types, like this one. Most often, the amount of it is what's going to differ. So shown here is the second time around. I'm just using more of the Olaplex cream than the last time. And if you haven't noticed by now, the video clips of me fixing her hair is when she's in these pink pajamas, and the original first silk press that I did on her a few days before this was in the orange shirt. So just so you don't get confused throughout the rest of the video. And since the last clip was kind of fast, here's a freeze frame of how much product I use for that smaller section. So after putting in your leave-in conditioner spray and your blowout cream, the next step is to actually blow dry the hair. So here I'm going to be applying some tension. I'm trying to get the hair strands from the roots down as straight as possible with my blow dryer before using the flat iron, so that the flat iron does the least amount of work. Now, obviously, you see how her hair is turning out frizzy. Again, I think it's a combination of what I did wrong that first time around, and so you'll see that throughout the rest of this blow dry process, it's just not going to be blown out as well as it should have been. But another big issue that I had here was, I don't know why I did this, but I didn't use high heat. I just used the warm heat, which she just needs high heat. Like if I'm going to use the blowout cream, I shouldn't have been so worried about the heat that I'm using. And that would have gotten it much straighter here and less frizzy. Some people do use paddle brushes instead of the round ones, but I get way more tension with the round ones. So I'm going to stick with the round ones. If you want to use the paddle, then you can use the paddle ones. That isn't something I'm likely to change in the future. Here's another mistake that I made. In concentrating so hard on creating tension at the roots, I didn't realize that her curly ends were exposed to the heat from the blow dryer. That causes them to be dried in the natural curl position. So what you want to do is make sure that those ends are not exposed, or at least right next to the air from the blow dryer. Also, my hand technique sucks here because I have it on the brush instead of the handle. Instead, make sure that while creating that tension, your hand's on the handle where it's supposed to be so that you can easily twirl the brush to keep that tension. Because a lot of times, if my hand was on the actual brush instead of the handle, I was losing the tension. It was just awful. So the second time around, I got my act together. I provided tension at the roots while keeping the ends away from the heat from the blow dryer. I put the brush on top of the hair to pull the tension at the root, and then run the blow dryer from the root down to the middle of the hair strand. And then I put the round brush underneath the hair strand and start pulling the brush towards me in a curling, rotating position so that it can get those ends straight. This time around, I also made sure to use the high heat setting on the blow dryer rather than the warm. So again, I'm flipping back to the first time that I did this. Look at the half of her head that I'm finishing up now and how frizzy it is. The ends still have the curl pattern that they shouldn't have at this point if you were using the tension technique correctly, but I wasn't. I mean, I did start using the handle towards the end, but I promise you this was not consistent throughout the process. But yeah, it's not looking like what it should look like with blow dry cream, leave-in conditioner, you know, even with just a blow dry. So this was not the correct technique. Even Naomi knows something is up. Look at the face she gives me. This was the last part of it here, and as you can see, she looks like she stuck her finger in a socket. Poor baby, I'm sorry, but I fixed it. So again, flipping back to the second time when I fixed it, using the correct blow dry technique will make all of the difference. I mean, even Naomi notices it.
Wow, that is wrong.
And now it's time for the fun part, the flat ironing part. So this is also the scariest part for me because again, I was very, very worried about heat damage. I don't want anything damaging her curls. So I got a good heat protectant spray. It's the Kenra thermal styling spray. It protects up to 428 degrees. The mistake I made here was not spraying enough. Now I noticed that right after this section, so I quickly corrected it so the rest of her head, thank God, was not heat damaged. I used the proper amount. Some people use too much of it and claim that it makes their hair crunchy, which I know that, and it does, but you just need to use the exact amount that you would need to at least coat the hair strands totally and then brush through to evenly distribute. So in the next section that I took, I realized you needed more heat protectant spray. So you see I'm spraying it a lot more, brushing it through, redistributing it all throughout the hair strand, brushing underneath, on top, splitting it apart. This definitely protected it much better. Now I'll show you a clip of when I fixed her hair, and this time around I even lifted up her hair and sprayed the underside part, and then I smoothed it through with the Denman brush because I think the rubber on the Denman brush smoothed it out more than the Easy Detangler brush I was using. So use either the Denman brush or another rubber bottomed brush so that you can spread it more evenly across your hair strands. As far as the actual flat iron, I used the Babyliss or Babyliss Pro Nano Titanium Ultra Thin 1-inch straightening iron. I liked this a lot. It was, I think, $160. So I'll go ahead and stick with this. It was nice. It was lightweight. It was super thin so that I could get up close near her roots. And then I'm going to be using the chasing comb method, which can you see my hand? Like what is going on here? I was struggling. I was trying to create tension at the roots to get a good grip on it to start, but then look at how far the comb is from the flat iron. It's too far. It's just ironing frizz and not allowing the comb to smooth it out right before. So when you use this method, you have to actually chase the comb, and that the comb has to be right in front of the flat iron, or the flat iron has to be right directly behind the comb for this to work. It might look smooth there, but trust me, it was not. And by the end of this process, you saw what it looked like. Here's a much better example of how you're supposed to chase the comb. You see it's directly right there, but of course without the greatest blowout in the world, it still wasn't going to produce the best results. So it was better, but I didn't stay consistent and do that throughout her whole head. The next mistake with the flat iron that I made is that I didn't look at the temperature setting guide on the user manual of this flat iron, and I put the dial on 30, which is equivalent to 360 degrees Fahrenheit. That, per their guide, is for normal textured hair, and it's the upper limits of the normal textured hair. Starting with wavy to curly hair, you're supposed to use between 31 and 40, which is 361 to 390 degrees Fahrenheit. And then for coarse and very thick hair, you're supposed to use settings 41 through 50, which is 391 to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. So not using a high enough heat or the appropriate heat setting for your hair type is going to cause those ends to look like that even after flat ironing. The next time I did it, when I fixed it, I put the setting up to 40, which was 390 degrees. As long as her curls bounce back this time like nothing ever happened, next time when I straighten her hair, I'll make sure to put the setting at 40 and nothing less, because I do think that that's the amount of heat that her hair needs to be able to be straightened silky. The first time around, after I finished flat ironing her hair, I used some Curlsmith Bonding Oil throughout her hair, mainly focusing on the middle of the hair strands down to the ends just for that extra shine. I skipped this step the second time when I fixed her hair 3 days later because she already had enough product in her hair at that point and she definitely didn't need any more. So that did add some shine, like a tiny little bit, but now I know what her hair texture looks like when it's not gonna last. Like that didn't last beyond a day. So at least I know that now, and for the next time, I'm gonna avoid everything I've done wrong thus far. The next thing that I'm gonna advise is to get a trim ahead of time, because those ends are not gonna allow this press to last long at all. They're gonna frizz up easily, they're dead. Some of them are split, so those ends needed to go. Now, I don't even know how to cut hair. I've never been formally trained in doing so, but I couldn't help myself and I did have to cut across the end. Obviously, I didn't go all the way down. I probably should have went to about there or even a little bit higher, but I'll save that for a professional. So this is the final product, a side-by-side after the first time I straightened her hair, which was on the left, and the second time when I had to fix it, which is on the right. I waited 3 days to attempt any kind of fixing because I didn't want to put heat on her hair again so soon. I fixed it using all the methods shown, and although not perfect by any means, we had a much better outcome and it so far lasted a lot longer. I think it's funny because I actually like how her hair looks on the left, nice, thick. It looks healthy to me, but we just know if it's that texture, when you finish flat ironing it, it's not gonna last. You can really tell in this still image of the day one front versus back hair from the first time. Looks pretty fluffy, not very silky, definitely not as straight, and it also appears more dry. Now maybe I could get away with this if she let me put some waves in it or curls, but she said no. So this side by side shows day 3 after the first time I straightened it, which is on the left, and the second time I straightened it on the right, and we obviously can see which one lasted a lot longer. So more products, better techniques, everything that I've mentioned. This has now been going on for a week. So next time I'm gonna make a video. I'll do an updated version of everything that I did on freshly washed curls, not having to be fixed on day 3, and we'll see if everything still turns out the same. Definitely leave any comments, product suggestions, any suggestions on technique. I'm open to it all. I made this YouTube channel for curly hair tutorials, but because I was able to identify a couple of the things or many of the things that I did wrong, I wanted to share with you just in case it is also your first time or second time doing a silk press, so that you don't make the same mistakes and waste all that time that I did. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe, and we have videos dropping every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bye!